You just did something spectacular. You hit play on TechVibe Pittsburgh to get your very own front row seat to Pittsburgh's technology and innovation industry. I'm Jonathan Kirsten with the Pittsburgh Technology Council, and I've been telling the stories across Pittsburgh's tech industry for nearly 30 years now. So it's been nearly a decade in the making, but BlastPoint just announced a $10.6 million round of venture investment from Mission OG out of Philadelphia. And I couldn't be more excited to welcome Alison Alvarez and Tomer Borenstein, the co-founders of BlastPoint, so they can discuss this major milestone. They share their personal and professional journeys, unique aspects of BlastPoint's AI solutions, and of course, the future organizational goals with this new investment under their wing. So keep listening to gain insights into the challenges and rewards of building a tech company from the ground up right here in Pittsburgh, and also get the importance of the community support and their success. Let's welcome Alison and Tomer to the show. So Tomer and Alison, oh my goodness, I received the press release about the funding. I was just ecstatic. It absolutely made my day. I couldn't think of a cooler company in Pittsburgh and two harder working people in this industry along with your team to make this happen. And so big congratulations from the Tech Council on this milestone within your company. So first off, just some quick introductions, just so people know who's who and what's what. Alison, you've been no stranger to our TechVibe show. And it's, like I said, it's great to connect with you on terms like this for an announcement. Tell me about yourself real quick and give me the quick pitch for what BlastPoint's about, and then we'll get to Tomer after that.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Alison. I'm the CEO and co-founder of BlastPoint. I'm a Pittsburgher by choice and a two-time Carnegie Mellon University graduate who has decided that Pittsburgh's the best place to live.
And real fast, just give us the quick elevator pitch for what BlastPoint does so our listeners know.
We build AI tools for teams and industries where they're kind of scared of AI. And that's highly regulated industries that might not have a ton of AI penetration due to any number of regulatory reasons. And for us, it's not good enough just to give people AI because, sometimes you give it to people and it's like, what is this? Right. The idea is to not just predict the future, but to give our customers the tools to change it. And that's anything from figuring out how to have too many people in your call center to figuring out, hey, not only who's not going to be able to pay their bills next month, but what programs do I have internally that help them get back on track, and just understanding human decision points and creating the best experiences possible within the customers that we work with. That's the big stuff that we do.
I love it. And rumor has it, Tomer, you've been hanging out with Alison, founding this company almost a decade ago, which I think is, you guys are in this thing for the long haul, which I think is just awesome. Tomer, as the CTO, you're the guy behind the technology on this stuff. Tell us a little bit about yourself, obviously, and why you were so excited to put a company like this together and be in it for the long haul.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm Tomer Borenstein. I'm the CTO and co-founder here. Like Alison, I'm a two-time CMU grad. I did my undergrad in computer engineering at CMU, and then I did my master's in machine learning and AI before it was the hot thing to do. And I met Alison at my final semester of my master's, and she had just a good idea around democratizing data and making data more accessible to people who are not necessarily data people, while everyone else at that event were kind of thinking about the next Instagram for dogs kind of thing. So I was like, this is my person. And we partnered up, and the rest is history.
I love that. That's so cool. Like I said, I mean, I'm a fan of all things tech and all companies building tech, but I get really excited when I look at folks using really deep tech like you're doing to improve the quality of people's lives and actually help humanity out in some real visceral ways, like saving money, making money, all the good stuff as far as that goes. So I'm glad you guys linked up in your last semester, man. You were running out of semesters at that point. So let's jump into real fast. I mean, the big news here is obviously, you've been doing this for 10 years, your first major funding round. This is a big deal. Tell us the details. What can we know about this?
Yeah, presuming that this comes out of after our media embargo, we're working with a Pennsylvania fund, which is kind of crazy. We've talked to plenty of Silicon Valley funds all over the United States, and it turned out that our best match was Mission OG based out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. They've got an amazing track record. They understand how to build data companies like us. And so for us, they were really the clear choice. And one of the facts that I kind of put out in our company chat was we raised more pretty much in one day than we had in our entire history, which is, pretty crazy, from a funding standpoint, but it's going to be enough dry powder to build the next generation of AI that we're planning on building right now. And just to give people some clues about that, we don't really build a large language model AI. I'm a graduate with the LCI at CMU, so believe me, I respect a large language model. But what we do is slightly different. And what's really cool what we do is you can audit every decision that our AI system makes, which means you can retrace your steps and say, hey, why did this thing make this decision? And actually, did it make a decision in a way that we can't allow? And having that at our fingertips, I think, is what really makes us different than other AI companies out there. So we're not just trying to generate more AI art or send you weird emails. We're trying to do something really different.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's why I get excited. Keep going, Tomer. Yeah.
Well, we love generative AI. Don't get me wrong. And inside BlastPoint, we joke that my name is GP Tomer, but I do think that a big part of why we're successful in the markets that we're in is because we build AI in a way that is regulatory compliant with these really highly regulated industries that we're operating in, like utilities and energy and credit unions and banking. Excited to have some Gen AI stuff come down the pike. But yes, the nice thing is that we've been doing it from before Gen AI was a thing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You guys are way before all the cool kids were trying to do it, which I think is just fantastic. And so, Tomer, I mean, as Alison mentioned, I mean, so you got some serious dry powder here to really be able to buckle down on the technology and go to some new levels. I mean, as the CTO, how does that feel? You gotta be like, oh my God, it's almost like you can breathe a little bit.
I'm a bit of a weird CTO. I've been leading our sales and growth team for the past 3 or 4 years, but now that we've got some real adults in the room as a Series A company, I can refocus some of my attention on product and technology. And honestly, what I'm really excited about, having gone through this fundraise and just looking at the next leg of the journey is, I always think about BlastPoint and, maybe antiquated 2013 lean startup terms, where there are 2 hypotheses that you have to prove as a founder. And the first one is the value hypothesis. People are going to pay me money for the things that I build. And, I built something of value. And we've proved that, a long time ago. I really feel like over the last few years, and, this fundraise is a big part of, validation for that, is that we've proven the growth hypothesis, which is the second hypothesis that says, hey, you can grow this at the type of rate that your investors expect you to. And then, now that we've proven both of these things, we can really look at what we want to do next, which is really be the customer intelligence platform. It doesn't have to be just for regulated industries. There's a variety of verticals we want to enter next, but a lot of it is just also improving our platform. It's already so easy to use, but Gen AI, even though it's not the core of what we do, does introduce some really awesome opportunities to enhance the usability of the data that we have in our platform. And so I'm really excited to dive into that. I know we have a few other things cooking. I don't know, Alison, how much you want to get into some of the things we've got in the oven on a podcast, but that's some of the stuff that I'm really excited about.
You don't have to sell stuff now, and you can concentrate on what you really know, the technical stuff. So you can stop multitasking on that part of it at least.
He gets me home. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's absolutely amazing. I love it.
Yeah. I'd say, one of the big things we think about lately is ROI, return on investment. And, we see the CEO of Microsoft kind of doubting, does AI live up to its hype from that return on investment factor? And for us, our North Star is ROI. It's how much are we giving back to our customers? Multiples over what they spent on us. And it's extremely important that we're able to prove that for every single customer every single year. So when it's a new contract, we go back to 0. We better prove that we're worth it every single year. And I think that's another factor that's really important for how we've been able to differentiate ourselves, because, sometimes putting the value in ROI is very difficult. For us, you better be able to plug that into a calculator, because otherwise it's not worth doing.
Exactly. That's why I love you, Alison, because you're so spot on and so focused that it brings me back to when I interviewed you probably 4 or 5 years ago. And you had this quote that sticks with me to this day. Like literally, it's something where you said, you can prove your doubters wrong by making sales, and sales requires ROI, right? That's when
Yep.
someone's going to buy something. I mean, that's what I think has been a real key to your success to this date. Has been you being able to keep at it like that. And now to have this funding to allow you to like let Tomer come back from the sales desk and go back to being a full-time
Yeah.
CTO is
Yeah.
fantastic. I'm curious, are you guys gonna be adding any staff at all as you continue to use this to grow? Like, I'm sure, how many people work for BlastPoint now, and how many would you like to get to maybe?
Yeah, we just passed 50. Our management team's located almost completely here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, which has been
Mhm.
very convenient for us. We didn't even try the last couple of ones, but the best person was here in Pittsburgh. So that's been pretty awesome. Otherwise, while we're going to be doing quite a bit of hiring, I'd say like for at the top level,
Mhm.
we're hiring in product and we're hiring and I need to fire myself as CFO. I'm really excited about it. So I'd like to hire a CFO on top of it. We're making hires in customer success, in sales, engineering. We're expanding our DevOps team, adding a layer of expertise there. So there's a ton of stuff that's going to be happening, a lot of opportunities. We love hiring people who are local because it's easier for us to all talk to each other, but we are a completely remote company, which
Right.
means that, 5 days a week, you can walk the dog, do a load of laundry. Not a big deal where we are, but it's nice that we can still occasionally go into the office and draw on a whiteboard and point at it. That's
Of course.
nice.
Yeah.
I
And
know the work-life
while
balance has
we're
been very important to you over the years, Allison, something that's
Yeah.
really driven your culture. So tell me more about that, Tomer. Yeah.
Well, one of the things, while we're pitching BlastPoint for maybe interested applicants, I do think, one of the nice things about BlastPoint is we work on really cool problems in I would call it the AI commercialization space. I think, we could do a whole podcast about why it's hard to build a defensible AI product in the Gen AI era. And I think BlastPoint is positioned really, really well for that. And just from a nerd perspective, if you're a nerd that likes AI, then we're a good place to work at. But the other thing that I think is really baked into our DNA, and this might have something to do with the fact that Allegheny County, I've heard it called the Silicon Valley for nonprofits and social good. And so a lot of what we do with our platform is helping people pay their utility bills, getting people who are underbanked banking, driving, green technology. So it's also just nice to be using this technology to do something beyond making people click on ads, especially in 2025. And I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, no, I think that's just so well said. That's why I'm so excited because I just feel like you're at this level of doing stuff that's really business driven, and it's not just clicking on an ad, but it's getting, like you say, underbanked people banking. It's getting folks that maybe can't pay their utility bills, so they can be pointed to the right programs to help them pay their bills, and the energy companies can know that, so it doesn't turn to something crazy. Like there's so many good things from that. But the thing that really struck me in our conversation was how Allison mentioned that you guys raised more than one day than you did over the past 10 years. And I would love to just walk a little bit through your journey of how you came to this point, just so our listeners can maybe learn from you guys. Because I really feel like the way you have built this is something that a lot of folks can learn from. I know everybody wants to build a quick flash company that they can flip quick and make some money. And I get that's understandable. But I also love the companies that you're in it for the long haul and are really trying to build something sustainable. And I can only imagine you're probably very attractive to many different investors out there. I mean, you're doing all the right things. And you were probably something from the early adopter thing
Yeah.
where, 10 years ago, people were like, what are you talking about? I don't get this. But I
Yeah.
think some of the AI hype has definitely helped. I probably bring you to the forefront of some investors saying, I'd like to add you to my portfolio. So maybe you got to be a little more selective as to how you came to this, as opposed to, I know some folks, they'll kind of take the bestest term sheet they can find and kind of stick to it. So tell me about the journey and how it came to this point.
Yeah, I'm gonna say we have multiple term sheets, but that is part to like us, thanks to Tomer, having really good stats, like really good KPIs. I don't know. I think we have a really good story, and I think we're in a really important part of the market. I mean, the one thing I'll say is we've been around for almost 10 years. I don't know if you can see this here. Like
Yes.
for this is our chicken logo. We have, like our drop logo, we have it as basically refashioned into a chicken. And it's because we used to work out of my dining room and my chickens would sit on the windowsill and watch us work. So that's our version of starting in a garage.
Yeah.
It's like we didn't have anything. Tomer and I were like, you come out of school and you're like, oh, I'm broke. We're fed we both had day jobs, and we both had like I kept my day job for almost 3 years after I graduated, after we started the company, just trying to get the company to a state where we were like, okay, we feel safe to quit our jobs and jump with both feet. And I had a toddler at the time. She just started high school. It's crazy.
That's crazy for me.
Yeah, it's nuts. But the us like having real lives and still trying to like, because having a startup is like a crazy dream in some ways, where we started this class this company in a class at the Tepper School of Business. Tomer and I were both students. At the end of the class, the professor, who was Dave Mooney, asked us, hey, what are you going to do with this idea? Are you going to, keep developing it? And I was like, yeah, we're definitely going to develop it. Not really believing it in my heart, because it's like, it's a dumb dream. It feels like winning the lottery, or, oh, I'm definitely going to be a movie star. I don't know. It feels like that to some degree, like the improbability of it. But, we kept our day jobs. We put our heads down. I think we interviewed 200 customers, potential customers, when we started, just because we had a solution in search of a problem. We're nerds. We love building technology and getting like the right product market fit. And it was only like when we started really seeing the company take off, both of us were here full time. I'll say, if anybody's like listening and dreaming about this, like there's a bunch of things that I'm like, man, I think about it and I almost never want to do it again.
Yeah.
So like every sick day, every weekend, we did evenings, I think 3 times a week, where we were just working on this thing together after our own day jobs. And it was just like so much. But if we hadn't done it, I don't think the company would have been possible.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I remember there was one like core memory that's scratched into my brain, which is this was kind of the boundary, the transition from like a class project to like real, I guess we should work on this beyond school, was we entered the McGinnis Venture competition at CMU. That was kind of like you could call it like the capstone of that class, to test out whether the idea that we had was going anywhere. And I just remember sitting with Alison in the green room before going in, and she was like, I just have this weird feeling that our life might just be about to change forever. And I'm like, yeah, we'll see. But looking back, it was. And there's so many, I mean, even this year, there are like these big learnings that I'm like, oh, it's really good to know for the next time I do this. And every year is, so you have to reinvent or relearn what your job description as a founder is for this year, because you got to double your revenue basically every year. And doing that looks different every year. And I think one of the things that has been really fundamental to us making it, and this is, I think, unique to Pittsburgh, is all the help and the support we got from the community. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's like funding gaps in Pittsburgh and all this stuff that is all true. But at the same time, we've done incubators in Pittsburgh, we've done incubators in New York. The vibe in Pittsburgh is, you're from Pittsburgh, I'm from Pittsburgh. I want to see Pittsburgh succeed. I am going to help you.
Yeah.
And that is something that we rode all the way. And our advisors that were with us from the beginning are still with us today.
I love that. Your whole Pittsburgh vibe has always made me so stoked, just because even as Alison kind of started off the whole interview here, was like, I'm a Pittsburgher by choice, because I know that with the kind of company you're building, with the types of minds that you guys have and your team has, you could be anywhere in the country doing this. And the fact that you've been very intentional about keeping this in Pittsburgh, to me, and the Tech Council, makes us very happy, because we need companies like yours to thrive and succeed if we're going to grow as an ecosystem here. So yeah, good stuff. I mean, it's just amazing. I mean, just curious, as this kind of all became real with this funding, what did it feel like? I mean, I think Tomer mentioned he had a really good weekend. So I don't know if time, but
we're always, because we're like, okay, coffees were closed. You get your cup of coffee and then it's like back to work.
Correct.
I think, I feel like I need to get to have that moment where how you finish a project, you close all the tabs in your browser. I'm not quite there yet, but I went, like, my husband and I had to do some work tasks, and we were like sitting at the pop-up beer garden on the Allegheny. I don't know if you know that one, but just like sitting there, like last night, just sort of like I'd finished all my tasks. I was just like listening to music and thinking about like where we were, and just sort of like being like, oh, I never thought, I can't believe this is my full-time job. This is my dream job. And, but every time we're like, yeah, we did that thing, I'm always like, what's the next thing we have to do next? And it's never like, all right, cool, we're done. It's always, okay, well, we We finished that task. Now, we're going to have so many meetings over the next week being like, okay, what are we doing next from the engineering standpoint, from the sales point, from like our operations standpoint, like that, what are we doing with HR? Like all this conversations have to happen, in the next week. We're going to go visit our investor tomorrow over in Philly, which is really cool, and meet a bunch of their LPs, which I'm super psyched about. I think that's just really great timing that we're going to be able to have time with them. And I'm psyched that I don't have to go to California and deal with the red eye because Lake Mutual is an investor on the East Coast.
Yeah, well, you show those guys in Philly how you build companies here in Pittsburgh.
That's right.
That's fantastic. What a great story. Very excited for both you, for the team, the company. What a great story all the way around. A big, huge congratulations from the Tech Council. We look forward to your next chapters now as you guys begin this whole new phase. And for us, we're just, what can I say? We're stoked. Simple as that.
We appreciate the support from the PTC.
Yes.
100%.
Yeah,
and like I
used
said,
your 401k plan. We used your health plan. It was,
yes, I know. You guys are awesome like that. Very awesome. Congratulations once again. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to tell me about this. I can't wait to get this out to all of our listeners. Appreciate you guys so much.
Thanks, Jonathan.
Excellent. Hey, everyone. In case you forgot, this is Jonathan Kirsting with the Pittsburgh Technology Council. I just can't get done telling stories just like this. Fantastic stuff. See you on the next one. Awesome, dudes. Oh my God, that's so great. Like I said, I can't stop smiling. I'm just really happy for you. It just makes me really glad. So,
Thank you.
excuse my giddiness, I guess, as far as that is. I know I